everyone, it's Lindey. Welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about when it might be a good idea to end a listing and relist it in the event that it's just not selling. So on my YouTube channel, I have numerous videos all about selling on eBay. And I get lots of questions asking things like, how long I wait before I end a listing and relist it because it just won't sell. Is it true that you should end a listing and relist it as sell similar? What makes it different from just regular relisting? What are the pros and cons for ending a listing and starting over from scratch? And at what point am I just supposed to throw in the towel and think that a thing is never gonna sell? So that's exactly what this video is today. Today I wanna tell you guys my perception of how long I wait before I end an item and relist it. I also want to share some insight from eBay directly regarding whether or not it's better to relist an item as sell similar versus the regular relist option after you've already ended a listing. And I also want to talk about the benefits as well as the negatives of ending an item and relisting it on eBay. And of course, I'll include my perception from my own personal experiences and what I choose to personally do for my eBay store. This video is also sponsored by Wholesale Ninjas because Wholesale Ninjas is by far my favorite source of inventory for my eBay store. They are the only liquidation company that I have found where I can get wholesale quality product for a liquidation price. Liquidation is a very risky way of sourcing inventory because a lot of the times you're buying merchandise as is. So that means if you pay less for product, usually you're sacrificing quality. But every single time I get merchandise from Wholesale Ninjas, everything is always impeccably packaged. There's very little breakage. And I source a lot of health and beauty merchandise, which means that there's a lot of potential to get broken cosmetics or have items leak. And so it really matters to me to have a liquidation company that takes extra time packaging product so that breakage is minimal. They also offer pallets of Target Mastercase merchandise, which is something I've never seen any other liquidation company do. In my opinion, Wholesale Ninjas is a real gem in the liquidation world because I see them doing stuff that I don't see other liquidation companies even considering. Because they are sponsoring today's video, I do have a coupon code for them. The code is Lindey25 and it gets you $25 off of anything on the Wholesale Ninjas website. I will make sure to link the discount code as well as my favorite products on their site down in the video description below. Thank you again to Wholesale Ninjas for partnering with me and sponsoring today's video. Now let's get into talking about how long you should wait before you end an item and relist it on eBay to get better search optimization. Because when you end a listing on eBay and relist it, that's exactly what you're trying to achieve. There's this idea that when an item has been listed on eBay for a significant amount of time, it becomes stale. It's this idea that a longer a listing has been available on eBay and it hasn't sold, the less likely eBay is to promote it high in search, which makes each passing day less and less likely that it's going to sell. Now, I am of the mindset that things will sell eventually. It just takes a lot of time. So exactly how long should you wait before you end an item and relist it? So now this is just purely my recommendation from my own personal experience. When it comes down to it, this is your business and ultimately your decision. It is of my personal opinion from my own experience on eBay's platform that if you have a listing that has gotten 500 to 1,000 views without getting a sale, or has been listed 3 to 6 months with no offers or no sales of any kind. Now I say 500 to 1,000 views because if you're getting a lot of views on an item and it hasn't sold, that's the first indicator that there is something wrong. If you have an item that's gotten 500 views and nobody has so much as sent an offer, that's telling you that there's something wrong with the listing. There might not be something right. Maybe there's something incorrect about the title or the description. Maybe your price is way off base. Maybe you need to have more detailed photos. There is a reason why people are looking at the listing and not buying it, and you just have to try to decipher exactly what that is. Again, there also reaches a certain point where listings could get numerous views, and if there's no purchases, that kind of tells eBay that there's something wrong with that listing, which means that they might suppress it a little bit more in search. The more people look at an item and don't buy, that tells eBay that something is wrong. So if your item has hit 500 views, you might want to consider ending an item and relisting it. Same thing goes if you've had an item listed for 3 to 6 months and you've had little to no traffic on it. That could also be an indicator that there's something going on with that listing. Maybe it's gotten stale. And this is something that you have to consider because there are millions of sellers on eBay's platform. There are millions of items that get listed every single week or month. There's probably hundreds of thousands of items that get listed every single day. There's always new stuff getting listed, and the eBay algorithm wants to constantly promote the items that are new. So if you've had an item listed for 3 to 6 months and it still hasn't sold, eBay might be thinking that that is an old listing and it needs to be revamped. So if you have a listing that has met one or both of these criteria, that's a good candidate to end the listing and relist it for sale. So now if you end a listing and relist it for sale, should you relist it as sell similar or just simply click the relist button? And this is where I want to include some insight from eBay directly, because I have had the privilege of speaking with people that work at eBay and asking them and inquiring more detail about this answer firsthand. So there is this myth that if you relist an item as sell similar on eBay, that it gets a different item number and it performs as a brand new listing even though it's still the same listing. So this is reason alone for sellers to relist as sell similar versus just simply relisting. Because when you relist an item as just the regular relist function, it still has the same item number. It still has all of the same information in the back end of eBay. You're basically keeping all of the negativity that was in the back end of that listing that caused you to end it to begin with. And it's only the act of relisting it as sell similar that basically wipes the slate clean and makes eBay think it's a brand new fresh listing. However, this is where the insight from eBay comes in. According to eBay themselves, I have been told that just simply relisting it as sell similar does not perform the function that we think it does. Yes, it might get a new item number. However, the eBay algorithm is smart enough to know that everything else in the listing is identical to another. Therefore, in order for relisting as sell similar to achieve the end goal that we're wanting it to achieve, we do have to make some changes in the listing. You can't just simply click sell similar, get a new item number, and then everything is hunky-dory. There has to be a change. There has to be a change to the title. There has to be a change to the price. There has to be a change to the description. Now, there doesn't have to be a big change, but there needs to be some change. So maybe go swap a couple of words in the title, maybe lower or raise your price by a cent or two. When you end an item and relist it as sell similar, there has to be some sort of a change in order for the eBay algorithm to pick up on a brand new fresh listing to then give it optimum search placement as a brand new listing on the eBay site. And then also to confirm, it is a better decision to end an item and relist as sell similar versus just clicking the relist button. So now ending an item and listing it as fresh to get a fresh perspective in the eBay algorithm sounds all good and dandy, but there is a negative side. And I want to make sure to address these, because if you go off and start ending all of your listings frequently and relisting them all the time, you might not understand the negative repercussions that could come of that. I personally never ever end listings that still have an available quantity if there is sales history on it. Meaning, if I have an item that has sold and I still have a quantity remaining, I will never end that listing regardless of how long it has been and how many views are on that listing. Because if I were to end that listing and sell similar, I would be losing all sales history on that listing. And one of the reasons why I have the out of stock option turned on in my eBay store is to keep all of the sales history on those listings, because the more sales history a listing has, the more powerful it is in search. Because when a listing has sales on it, it tells eBay that they've already made money off of this listing once, there's still a quantity remaining, so eBay can make more money off of it again. And when you end that listing, you are erasing all of that sales history. You're also getting rid of any watchers that might have been on that listing that could come back and buy. When you end a listing and relist as sell similar, you are essentially erasing everything about that listing, watchers included. Now, if you end a listing and relist it, then you will keep your watchers. It's only the act of ending and then relisting as sell similar where everything is wiped clean. Clean slate, watchers, views, everything is gone. If you relist it, your watchers will still be there. But when I end a listing that has sales history on it, I am erasing all of those sales histories, even if I'm relisting it. So for that reason, if I have a sale on any listing, if there is a quantity remaining, I will not end that listing. Instead, what I will do, if I have sales history on a listing and I still have a quantity remaining, but let's say there's a lot of views, a lot of time has passed in between sales, I might just go in and refresh the listings, or I might edit or tweak or run a bigger sale. There are other things that I could do with that listing to try to better search optimization without completely wiping all of my sales history clean. Something else to consider is Google shopping. So an item has to be listed on eBay for a little while in order for it to show up in the Google shopping catalog. Now, if this is important to you, this is something to consider, because every time you end a listing, wipe it clean and start a listing fresh, it takes Google shopping a little bit of time to pick up on that listing again to show up on the Google page. So now, in which circumstances should you just end a listing and get rid of the item completely, suspecting it's never gonna sell? And this is completely up to you to determine. I personally feel like everything will sell eventually. The only time I will actively end a listing and get it out of here because I think it's never gonna sell is if it's taking up a lot of space and I just simply get tired of looking at it. Sometimes that might happen with items faster than others. Maybe I have something listed for a year, it's been sitting on my shelf, it's taking up a lot of room, and so I'm just tired of looking at it. Maybe I've got new stuff in and I need the shelf space. One of the biggest factors that you should consider when thinking about this is, does the profit buy the rent space on your shelf? If you have a big 2-foot by 2-foot item that's only gonna bring you $40 profit, but you can put an entire box full of merchandise that can bring a lot more profit in its space, maybe you should just scrap it and get rid of it. If you don't have a lot of storage space to work with, you really do have to consider that. You'd have to consider your sales model. Do you have the space to store stuff long term? Or do you have more of a sales model like I do, where you need to turn and burn inventory because you always have a lot of stuff coming in and you need the shelf space? I would much rather drop the price to try to sell something to move it versus just ending the listing and getting rid of it. But ultimately, it's up to you. It's going to depend on how much capital you have invested in that item and how much profit it can give you when it sells. And if you determine that the profit or the capital is not worth your time, it might just be best to end the item and get rid of it. Maybe for you, it's 6 months sitting on your shelf. Maybe it's 5 years. You just have to use your best judgment. And remember to also consider the rent space on your shelf. Determine whether or not the space that it's taking up is worth holding and waiting for profits. Also, remember to consider sell-through rates, because sometimes things just take a little bit longer to sell. If you're of the mindset that after you list something, it has to sell within 30 days, that might be unrealistic depending on the sell-through rate of the item you're looking to sell. Sometimes things just need some time to sell. Sometimes it's not a hot ticket item that people are looking to snatch up immediately. So if you have unrealistic expectations for how fast things should be selling in reference to their sell-through rate, you might be setting yourself up to just be getting rid of a whole bunch of stuff that would sell if you just left it listed a little longer. So hopefully my own personal insight from my experience and everything that I shared in this video really helps you try to determine when it's the best time for you to end an item and relist it, how exactly you list that item, and if you should just scratch it and get rid of it altogether. Hopefully this video helped you get some insight, because this is a question that I get a lot, and I do know that, you hope that there is this magic answer. I know that you're probably hoping that I tell you, if it hasn't sold in 6 months, get rid of it. But unfortunately, it's not as simple as that. But hopefully this video helped you gain just a little bit of insight. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video and videos like it, please do give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and ring the notification bell. That way you're notified whenever I post a new video. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them down in the comments below. And don't forget to check the video description. I will put a lot of useful information in there for you. Thank you again so much for watching. I will see you with my next video. Bye-bye.